Hi there. So in this video, I want to go over styles, and that covers quite a bit. So I'm going to put it into two videos, and on the first video, I just want to tell you basically what each style is, and then we'll break it down a little bit more as we go along. So the first one that I want to go over is full height shutter. Now, full height shutter is pretty self-explanatory. It basically goes from the bottom of the shutter to the top of from the bottom of the window to the top of the window. And of course, all the way across, as all the shutters do. So on the full height shutter, it doesn't mean that it is just one full bar of louvers. You can break it down so that some louvers, like let's say maybe at the top, some of the louvers at the top you could open where you would keep the bottom closed. And you can have as many of those breaks as possible. So be thinking about that, and something that I'll work with you on is because what you'll be deciding on the breaks, which we call mid-rail. So you can put a mid-rail in there, and then let's say above the mid-rail, that breaks the louvers up with the mid-rail. And then let's say that you wanted to open the ones above it. A good reason to do that is privacy. You know, let's say that you wanted to have shut most of the louvers, and you wanted to keep, let's say, a top bit open to just let in a little bit of light, then we could do that. Another thing is maybe you still wanted some light to come in, but you wanted the privacy. So that's something that we'll kind of consider. The reason that full height shutters I like a little bit better than let's say tier on tier is they're a bit stronger. So they'll just kind of hold their positioning a little bit better. Now I want to talk to you about cafe style shutters. Now cafe style shutters are really kind of about the same as full height shutters, other than they aren't full height. They are, you can just stop them wherever you want to up that window. Cafe style shutters quite often you see them a lot in the kitchens or dining rooms, or sometimes you'll see them in living rooms, but it wouldn't be something that you would want in bedrooms. Now, a cafe style shutter would let in more light than, let's say, a full height shutter, but you also wouldn't get the privacy from that. So that's cafe style. Now I wanted to also say on cafe style, you can choose where you stop those. That can as all of the shutters are made just for your window. So we're really designing the shutter any way you want it. So that's the thing on cafe style shutters. Now the next shutter that I want to tell you about is tier on tier. Now, tier on tier is basically two shutters on top of each other. Now, the advantage to tier on tier is you could fully open the top bit. It's basically two sets of shutters. So you could open the top set of shutters. Now, the advantage to that is it lets in more light, because you could fold the top half back, or the bottom half, I guess, if you wanted. But you'd have to be thinking about, do you have the ability to fold those back, or would they, if they open like this, would they just stick out? So that's something to think about with tier on tier. The other thing that I want to caution you on tier, and we will work with you on, you don't want the tier on tier to be, it can't go in a really wide window, because it would be holding too much weight on that center bit, and then it will have a tendency to sag. So we've got parameters that we'll work with on that, so that they're not sagging. But tier on tier is quite a nice choice if you want to just open up those top bits, and then when you do, they kind of look a little bit like cafe style shutters. So anyway, that's it on tier. Now you can get different shapes. Like I said earlier, all of the shutters are custom made, and so you can get any shape that you've ever wanted to. And here's how we do it. It's really quite cool. We really just kind of take a pattern around your window and we send that to the company and they just make it exactly for your window. It's pretty slick. So I really quite like that. Now, we also have track shutters. Now, track shutters are going to be hooked in at the top and the bottom. And a track shutter would be used somewhere, let's say on a sliding door or a really, really large window, because again, you don't want it to sag. And to avoid that, then we just put it in a really small track, and then that keeps that from sagging. Now, solid shutters are quite interesting. They're kind of have such an interesting look to them. But here's the thing with solid shutters. Solid shutters, once you close them, are not going to be putting any light in. So that might be a good thing, or it might not, depending on if you want to just shut all of the light out, maybe at night, and just have, not letting any light in. And also, if you'll look, they're quite popular, let's say in France, and they're quite popular, let's say, that if you've got a really big windowsill and to fold those back. And funny enough, you know how I talked to you about colors and was saying that I wouldn't do something trendy? Well, crazy enough, I maybe would with solid shutters, because I love the look that they have in France with solid shutters. So that's just kind of my going against my own rules on that. Solid shutters are pretty beautiful in really, I was going to say in really traditional rooms, and formal rooms, but they're also pretty cute in more of a laid back, kind of a cozy cottage type look. So anyway, that's another thing to look at. So that's it on this video. I'm going to go into more things on the next video. So I'll see you in that one.